So welcome to the next in our online messages brought to you by the friends at First Church Raleigh. If you'd like to know more about the First Congregational Church in Raleigh, there'll be some information for you at the end of this video, and thank you for spending time with us. We hope these messages help you in your life journey. So grace and peace to you from our friend Jesus. My father used to say, if you have no goal, you'll probably get there. Over the years I've thought about that. I wasn't sure quite what he meant, but it probably had some reference to wandering aimlessly with no sense of direction. A goal is a critical part of our life as human beings, individually and collectively as we live in community. So how we need to move forward is to have some sense of aim. What are we seeking to do in our life? What's our purpose? Where are we trying to go? That's a chronic question for human beings, especially in a society like our own, which is very competitive. So what are your goals in life, and what are you trying to accomplish? And maybe you're older and you've accomplished some things. Were those what you intended? And what, finally, is our forward movement as a human family? Paul the Apostle speaks to us in Philippians. He says, I'm not saying that I have this all together, that I have it made, but I am well on my way, reaching out for Christ, who has so wondrously reached out for me. Friends, don't get me wrong. By no means do I count myself an expert in all of this, but I've got my eye on the goal, where God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. I'm off and running, and I'm not turning back. I love that, onward to Jesus. What is that? So much in our life is really not easily focused. We're very tiny creatures, and we only can see little bits and pieces of what's about us. Recently, visiting my daughter in Connecticut, we had nothing to do together. She and her husband, he said, let's go out bowling. Now, I hadn't been bowling for years. And in New England, we tend to have this, the candlepin ball, which is you sort of whip it down the alleyway, and that's the end of it. But now, this was the big bowling balls, which I hadn't really bowled with before in any intentional way. And I looked at the alley, and there's dots all over it. There's dots as you come up to the foul line, and there's these like little arrows down on the alleyway. And, so I just bowled like I thought I would, went forward, took a few steps through that ball down the alley. It was a pretty bad score. Later on, I wanted to know, what are those marks? It turns out there's a science to bowling. Most bowlers use the approach area to line up and their feet, and they ensure that their stance is consistent. However, instead of arrows, you'll find those little dots on the line, but there's an approach area, yes, but there's also locator arrows to help us aim about, 20 feet from the foul line down the alley. And those are to be used to a purpose. You're not supposed to look at the pins. Wait a minute, I'm trying to hit those. No, but you have to get on the right angle of the trajectory and practice that, because you just spin the ball a little bit, but your feet are critical as to their positioning, and you come in an angle, and the ball goes across those arrows that are partially down the way on the alley, and the ball hits the pocket and you get a strike. Life demands a goal. Without it, things will spin off meaninglessly into the universe to no purpose and no end. We're free critters. We need to have a sense of purpose in our life. So when Paul has his eye on this prize, this goal, he's speaking of some sense of final destination, which we can't see. We can only appreciate in a limited way. He's talking about Jesus. running towards Jesus. Perhaps you've heard that quote: "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Martin Luther King said that on occasion. He was actually drawing on the words that were said earlier by a Unitarian minister in Boston, Theodore Parker, this understanding that the universe has an intentionality through the love and grace of God, and things are moving in a direction. Certainly Paul understands that. Certainly anyone of faith understands that. But we can't see what this target of justice is. We can only see the dots that give us some sense of direction. We only can line up with what we can bring into focus in the brief reach out of our own life. And that's the invitation. And what are those markers that give us a sense of aim and direction towards this ultimate resolution, towards this love winning over evil, towards this grace imbuing all things and all people with a deeper understanding of the amazing sacrificial love that Jesus brings to us. Those dots out there, their compassion, their sensitivity, their kindness, each of one of them is marked. Just roll what you have with your own spin towards that. Get your feet in the right place on higher ground and let it roll, and God will take care of the rest. That's the discipline of the Spirit. It takes faith and trust, some balance, and an intent to know that what we do can be aimed towards that justice the universe is bending towards, but we can throw a gutter ball as an expression of what we're all about. What a failure, what a loss. That's the invitation, to find some kind of sense of aim in this universe that we can't see in its entirety, but we know it's bending towards a blessed place. And in the name of the blessed source that's bending it, I say, Amen. So thank you for spending time with us. If you'd like to know more about the First Congregational Church of Raleigh, you can go online at firstchurchraleigh.org. And of course, we'd always like to hear from you. You can call us anytime at 978-948-3993. This is Reverend Tom Bentley, the pastor, saying thank you and goodbye.